Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriot Stadium, where the 3-2 Wayne Hills Patriots are just about ready to take on the impressive on this cold, blistering, wet October night. I'm Justin Rubino, and to my left is Grant Till. Grant, this Wayne Hills defense, led by defensive coordinator Timothy Ziza, is going to be put to the test tonight as the Norman feature a quarterback who can not only throw, but also run when the coverage breaks down in Vinny Esposito. How do you think the defense is going to respond to that tonight?
Well, Justin, easier said than done. The defensive line has to simply contain Vinny Esposito, and if they do, they will be successful, although I was talking to some coaches, and they did say they might have to have the cornerbacks help out.
And to my right is Cody Chrusciel. Cody, this Demarest team runs a 5-2 defense, something you don't see very often on all three levels of football, meaning high school, college, and professional. How do you think the Patriots offense, led by junior quarterback Nick Wurzel, is going to respond to that?
You know, Justin, that's an excellent point. The 5-2 defense, very unusual to see from a high school team or any team for that matter. But I think the Patriots are just going to have to establish the run early and open up the field for the deep pass. Nick Wurzel has an excellent arm, and the receivers have sure hands and have some speed.
Also tonight, the Norsemen will feature halfback Ray Greer, who has been recruited by, among other schools, Rutgers. Cody and Grant, how do you think Wayne Hills is going to be able to contain not only Esposito, but the speedy running back Greer?
I think the outside linebackers are going to have to step up because, as you mentioned, Greer and the quarterback are both very quick, and they're going to have to stuff the middle.
Defense is really going to have to step up, Justin.
Also, coming into tonight's game, you might think Wayne Hills has a little bit of momentum under the belt, putting together a string of wins. Meanwhile, Demarest coming off a tough loss last week. Who do you think's going to win tonight?
I'm going to go with Wayne Hills 28, Demarest 14.
Grant?
I'm going to have to go with 14-13, Wayne Hills in favor.
Well, in about 3 hours' time, we'll know.
And that linebacker number 3, Hunter Fume, number 3. And that defensive
We
back,
off.
number 5, Richie
Oh.
Julian, number 5.
So what? Oh, well,
And right now, you can see the Wayne Hills Patriots are being introduced by Mr. Mezzi up in the press booth, press box.
That's wide receiver, number 5, Ryan Mink, number 5. That's tight end, number 91, Cody Ofilo, number 91. At tackle, number 57, Sean Andre, number 57. At guard, number 51, Dan Damapoli, number 51. At center, number 62.
Right now, the men who do the dirty work night in and night out. The Patriots' offensive line is being introduced, and tonight, facing that 5-2 defense, might have a little bit of confusion, but Cody, you think they'll be able to keep control tonight?
I think they will. Played well the last couple games. They're starting to look more like a unit.
Yeah, the line is pretty experienced. They got 3 seniors and 2 juniors, so like I said, pretty experienced. And now the position players are being introduced. Right now, number 24, senior Dan Chang. And right here, as you just heard Mr. Mezzi say, Jesse Farina has been converted from a quarterback to a wide receiver, as Nick Wurzel has done a great job at quarterback. You see Nick right here. How do you think the move to wide receiver will treat the Patriots?
Jesse Farina, seeing some of the practices, he appears to have some great hands, and with Nick Wurzel throwing, 3 touchdown passes last week against Bergenfield, looks like a move that should help the Patriots.
I was actually talking to defensive coordinator Mr. Ziza today in school, and he said Jesse had indeed been moved to wide receiver, and he had played receiver at other levels, like in middle school and whatnot, so his hands are very sure. So you might see a little bit of Jesse tonight, as right now getting ready to salute the flag. and we are ready for some football. Tonight, the Patriots in a must-win situation, as I was informed by some of the coaches that if they lose tonight, they lose all chances of trying to capture a league championship versus Ramapo.
Yeah, in high school football especially, it's a shorter schedule, and if you lose 3 games, it's pretty much over.
This Patriots team, very accustomed to winning, already 2 losses on the year, something they're not used to, Grant.
Yeah, definitely, Justin. I'd have to say so myself. But, you know, it's really a heartbreaker for some of these kids if it happens. I don't think it will, though. They're really going to have to step it up, and they will win.
Something you're going to see tonight from the Patriots defense is a lot of blitzing. This Demarest team gave up, I believe I'm correct, 12 sacks in their last game. So if the Patriots are able to bring the pressure, they're going to force Esposito into some pressure situations, but he might be able to handle that and scramble out of the pocket. So the secondary is really going to be put to the test.
Wayne Hills with a very, very fast defense and Demarest with a fast offense, so that should be a good matchup.
We thought we might have seen Chaz Lynn tonight, who had been practicing with the team this week, but I guess a game-time decision. He's not going to play this week. We'll probably see him for the first time this season next week.
Yeah, Justin, sophomore football players were saying that Chaz Lynn might be playing on defense, but obviously he's not dressed. I was caught by surprise. I thought he might at the last-minute change and try to trick the Demarest team.
And for those of you who don't know, Chaz Lynn injured his collarbone early in the season and hasn't played since.
Also, I got this quote from one of the Wayne Hills coaches. Speaking of Esposito, he said, "This is the best quarterback that Wayne Hills has faced since Chris Sims, who is now in the NFL and was a star at Texas." That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah, Chris Sims playing for Ramapo 5 years ago, drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's their third-string quarterback He's their third-string quarterback this year, and that's saying something about Demarest.
Yeah, if Esposito can be anything like Chris Sims, he'll be making millions of dollars down the line and be playing on Sundays. And it looks like Demarest has won the toss, but has deferred to Wayne Hills. So Wayne Hills will start the first quarter with the ball.
The Patriots will receive. The Norsemen will defend the south.
You know, Justin, I really like that call. You know, if they won the coin toss and they chose to receive, in which Wayne Hills needs to get the first strike with momentum, and that's what they need to do to win this game. Momentum.
And the Wayne Hills special teams unit will come onto the field. And it looks like DeSico and Bucci will be deep for the kickoff.
Bucci and DeSico back deep for Wayne Hills to receive the kick. Andrew Bucci, very, very fast. He rushed for well over 200 yards. I believe it was something like 250 a couple weeks ago in his first start of the season at running back, and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, just an amazing day for Bucci, which snapped Wayne Hills out of their dormant mode. And like I said earlier, they're really strung together some wins, and they keep the momentum going tonight. They'll have a chance at a league championship. And there is the opening kickoff, very short, and it will stay in bounds, fielded by Bucci. And he is down right away at around the 20-yard line, where Nick Wurzel and the rest of the Swain Hills offense will take over.
Bucci looked like he almost lost the ball there, but recovered before it could hit the ground.
Nothing you could do about that kick. It was a bad kick, and Bucci tried to do his best, but he obviously couldn't because the defense was right there.
So, as of now, not a very big crowd for Wayne Hills, but those who are here seem into it and looking to score early.
So Wayne Hills comes to the line in an I formation, 2 wide receivers split to the bottom of your screen, and they hand it right up the middle to the running back, DeSico, who gains about 3 or 4 yards on the play, and it will be 2nd and 6. Going to correct myself, I believe Bucci was at tailback on that first play.
sure we'll see Pete DeSico tonight, too. A two-headed monster for Wayne Hills, both with excellent speed. Both can pound it up the middle, and both have stepped up for Wayne Hills this year.
And there is Bucci at the halfback position with his big lead fullback, Zambelli. And right there, it looked like Wayne Hills lost the fumble, but heads up play right there by the linemen, pouncing on the ball and retain possession as it's now 3rd and 6.
I tell you, Justin, that play, if that wasn't a fumble, that might have been a touchdown play. As you can see, they had the fullback running right up the middle with the ball as Warzel was faking the option. And when that was happening, the entire team was going over by Warzel.
So, Justin, like you said in the pregame, it's cold here and it's rainy. Not really ideal conditions, so turnovers should be a factor.
Right now, 3 men in the backfield for the Wayne Hills Patriots, and they give it to Ryan Green, who busts up the middle for about 3 yards, but is way short of the first down. Actually, closer than originally thought. It's about 4th and 1 or 2 yards, but Farina will come on to punt it away. Deep for the Norseman, number 5, Richie Deload, and number 8, senior captain Thomas Swan.
Fumble, almost recovered by the Wayne Hills team. Great punt by Jesse Farina there as he got the Demarest team a little further back. Not great field positioning for them, but not as good as it could have been.
So that was Tom Wan, the senior captain for the Norsemen, returning the kick. And like I said before, the ball's very wet tonight, and it just slipped out of his hands.
And right now we're going to see the much hyped up Esposito at quarterback, see what he can do for the Norseman offense as they take over at their own 46. It's 1st and 10. So Norseman with the I formation, 2 wide receivers split out to the side. And they will give it up the middle to the halfback, who is pushed backwards, Greer, that is, for about 2 yards on the play. Ryan Green on the tackle, who had just received the handoff earlier in the Wayne Hills series. And as you can see, the Patriots run a 4-4 defense with only 3 men in the defensive secondary. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that would be 4 down linemen, 4 linebackers, and 3 defensive backs. And here's Esposito rolling out to his left, and he pulls up firing and overthrows his intended receiver. Ryan Mink was right there with the coverage.
So number 9, Kyle Kavanaugh, actually he's playing with a broken thumb and a cast on his right hand. It's all padded up, and he's a trooper. He's out there playing, and his hand's broken.
Kyle Kavanaugh, only a junior, but he's been the starter on this Wayne Hills Patriots defense all season, and he lays down the wood when he hits. He comes up to the line, sometimes lines up sort of like a linebacker, and when he hits, you better get out of the way because he can flatten some people.
Yeah, not really the biggest guy in the world, but just so quick, so strong. He really does just level people.
And Esposito drops back to pass, flings it out to Greer as he was being heavily pressured, among others, by Ryan Green, and the pass falls incomplete, and that's a 3-and-out by the Norsemen. And right here you will see number 1, Kenny Amsel, ready to punt it away to number 5 for the Patriots, Ryan Mink. And the punt is blocked by the Patriots special teams. And right there to fall on the ball is number 35, who I believe is Chris Zambelli.
I believe that's Ryan Green, who was also in on the last play, along with Brian Pagan, number 36. So these 2 players for Wayne Hills just having an amazing first few minutes of this game.
Yeah, Zambelli, number 34. So that was Ryan Green, who is playing a major role so far early in this game.
Well, you know, huge momentum change for Wayne Hills with that punt block by Ryan Green. Huge. This could give them the drive. That could give them a touchdown.
The handoff to Bucci up the middle, but he bounces it to his outside and unable to find a hole, and he is taken down in the backfield, it appears. Coach Olson giving Nick Wurzel a big speech on the sideline. And Wurzel is ready with the play and walks back into the huddle. The senior center, Scott Gielock, hovers over the ball, ready to hike it to his quarterback, as Zambelli and Bucci are in the backfield, with Mink split out to the top of your screen. And Wurzel drops back to pass. He had Bucci in the flat, but instead he finds Mink deep with a great jump, leaping catch at around the 15-yard line. Ryan Mink went up and pulled it down.
It's one thing Nick Wurzel really has improved on. I've watched the last 4 or 5 games they've played, and he's just, from the beginning of the season, he's doing a much better job staying in the pocket, not afraid to take the hit.
Yeah, Wurzel stared down that blitzing linebacker, waited until the very last second, launched that ball into the air, right into the hands of Ryan Mink, who also made a great play.
Yes, he did. Great leaping catch, and it's very hard to do that with some of these unathletic people.
And there is Mink on the bottom of your screen, split out wide to the right. And they give it to Bucci, who breaks outside. Looks like he has something. And he runs over a man and falls around the 5-yard line. So it's going to be about 2nd and 1 or 2. Patriots look very impressive on this drive here, putting together a string of runs and passes.
You know, it looks like they're clicking on all cylinders tonight.
Like you said, Cody, earlier, against this 5-2 defense, they have to establish the run, and once they do that, they're going to be able to throw the ball very well tonight, maybe set up the play action. And Wurzel receives the snap, hands it up the middle to Bucci, who doesn't seem to get it anywhere. Stopped immediately by the Norseman defense. Actually, may have lost yard on the play, so it's 3rd and 2. And number 1, Joe Giampapa, is coming to the game, probably as an extra fullback. And Giampapa is lining up as a tight end. So Wayne Hills with 3 men in the backfield and 2 tight ends. A power formation. They give it to Bucci right up the middle, who breaks the plane for the touchdown. And Wayne Hills has taken an early 6-0 lead behind the legs of senior Andrew Bucci.
Sticking with the game plan, just keep pounding the ball, and trusting the arm of Nick Wurzel.
So Wayne Hills pounding away, like you said, up the middle of this defense, and with one long pass, which incorporated most of their yards on the drive, they're able to punch it into the end zone. And here is the extra point attempt, and it's low, but it clears the uprights as number... No, it is no good, actually.
No good.
Number 2,
Caleb Denegris, a junior, kicked it wide right, and I think Demarest might have gotten a piece of that at the line.
Usually you see Andrew Bucci out there at the kicking duties. Not sure what that move was, but it doesn't pay off as he misses low and wide right, but the score is still 6-0 with the Patriots out front.
You know, Caleb Denegris stopped playing soccer this year, went to football. He knew he could be a kicker, and this is a good career for him.
And it looks like the quarterback, Nick Wurzel, will handle kickoff duties tonight.
So it looks like the Patriots are going to go with a little kicker by committee here.
Wurzel signals to the ref that he's ready, throws his arm down, and is ready to put it in the air. A low line drive down the right side, and that had no chance of staying in, and the Norseman will be awarded great field position without even having to do anything.
You know, Justin, the kicking game is real important, and it's not working right now for Wayne Hills. It can be critical in some moments.
It's called special teams for a reason. Special teams always has a big outcome on games. You look at the NFL, you see that week in and week out. Same thing on the high school level.
You know, actually, Chris Berman was doing his top 10 plays on SportsCenter, and there was a kid from, I think, a Massachusetts area who kicked a 63-yarder and won the game for his team.
And also, if you watch some ESPN, another high school field kicker hit about a 65-yard extra point after the touchdown. Numerous players were penalized with taunting penalties, and the kid didn't really care. He said he'd kick longer in practice, and he put it through for 1 point. And back to this game, Esposito saw the coverage downfield was pretty good, and the linemen were coming in his face, and he was able to slip through the line and get a good yardage on first down.
That's exactly what Coach Caesar was talking about before the game today. Just he's so quick, and he can escape the pressure. And took what should have been a loss into a 5 or 6 yard gain.
And the Demarest team will come to the line. Greer, the lone back in the backfield, with 3 wide receivers on the play, and Esposito under center, sends his man in motion, and it's now trips on the bottom of your screen. He fakes the screen pass and hands it up the middle to Greer, who pounds away, and with the second effort is able to pick up the first down at around their own 47-yard line.
Great fake by Esposito there. It had the entire Wayne Hills going, and that's how this team works.
Yeah, with that fake right there, he drew almost the entire defense to his left and left a big hole in the middle for Greer to run through. And here comes Demarest to the line with the same formation we saw last play. And once again, they send the man in motion. And Greer will get the ball again as he gets the pitch to the top of your screen, but not much doing as he only picks up around 2 yards.
You know, now watching this Wayne Hills team, kind of after the first 2 games, kind of reminds me of Ohio State. Great defense, but little offensive points.
And the big thing about Ohio State, they might not win pretty, but they always win every week.
Exactly.
I think Coach Olson would be pretty happy with that analogy. Minus the whole Maurice Claret situation.
Of course.
And Esposito once again with 3 wide receivers and Greer in the backfield, sending a man in motion again. And he's dropping back to pass as the blitz is there, but he shakes off the defender, and the pass was right in the arms of Chris Zambelli, who was thinking touchdown before the ball was secure in his arms.
So once again, Brian Pagan, that's the 3rd time he's put pressure on this Demarest team tonight.
Pagan coming up the field like he was shot out of a cannon, got a great jump off the line. Looked like he was going to bring Esposito down, but Esposito was able to wiggle away, got the pass off, but it was right in the direction of Chris Zambelli, who just dropped it. That was an easy 6 for Zambelli. Now Wayne Hills looking like they're playing man-to-man coverage right now as Kavanaugh has come up to the line. And Esposito dropping back, going deep. He has his man who beat Mink over the middle, and a great catch by the wideout, number 5, who would be Richie Gillard.
Tough play, tough catch.
That ball was right on the money, right in the hands of his wide receiver. He put that where only he could get to it. Mink really wasn't beat much. Wide receiver maybe had half a step on him, but the pass just enabled Gillard to bring it into his body, and the Demarest has a fresh set of downs.
So Esposito showed that he can run and avoid the pressure before, and now he showed off that great arm that they're talking about.
We saw Esposito in practice today. It looked like he had pinpoint accuracy, but that was only in practice. No men were rushing at him, but as you see, that is true. And once again, Esposito going to the air, showing off his arm with the screen pass to Salamondo, who picks up about 2 yards, and it's 2nd and 8.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8 on the Patriot 20.
So far this game, the Patriots have brought pressure like they said they would, and this Demarest line is holding up a little right now, but it looks like Patriots are poised for a big turnover. And here's the handoff to Greer right up the middle, who spins away from one tackler, and with the second effort picked up about 6 yards. And they'll have 3rd and short. And once again, we hear Ryan Green's name over the loudspeaker with yet another tackle. I think that's 3 on the night.
So far it's been the Ryan Green and Brian Pagan show for the Patriots.
And Esposito in the shotgun formation right now. Receives, the snap is high, but Esposito is able to pounce on it as it looked like Adi Abilo was right in his face going for the fumble as well, but Esposito smartly just fell on top of the ball, eliminating any chance at Wayne Hills recovering it, and it's going to be 4th and about 20. So the poor snap right there, maybe caused by the field conditions, is going to force the Demarest team to punt it away to Ryan Mink. So once again, the weather playing a key role in tonight's game. And there's another blocked kick by Wayne Hills, special team coming up big tonight. And that ball went out about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, maybe not even that much.
The way the special teams is keeping them in the game should give them excellent opportunities and great field position to make something happen.
And there was Ryan Green on the big play again. This kid is a playmaker.
He's the early game MVP right now, no doubt about it.
Let's not jinx him, Justin.
And Goudy comes to the line, and so does the rest of the Wayne Hills offense. Bucci is deep in the backfield with Zambelli in front of him. And Wurzel with the play action has his fullback Zambelli in the flat, who was hit right away. But good yardage on first down, around 7 yards, so it'll be 2nd and 3.
Nick Wurzel very accurate with all of his passes so far tonight. He looked good warming up before the game, hitting all of his receivers in stride.
This is exactly what Wayne Hills needs to do. They just need to play a little, just do some small passes, small runs to get a first down.
So right now, with about 1:45 left here in the first quarter, Wayne Hills currently has a 6-0 lead over Demarest. And Bucci, once again, the tailback, gets the handoff, and with a full head of steam, crashes into the line and picks up about 5, which is good enough for the Patriots' first down. And here we see Jesse Farina checking in as a wide receiver.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they use Farina tonight. If they keep him as a short man, send him down the field.
And also with his ability to play quarterback, might see a few trick plays tonight.
You never know.
And so there is Farina on the bottom of your screen, and Mink, the other wide out. Wurzel under center, I-back formation. Wurzel drops back to pass again, but he has a man right in his face, and smartly just throws it in the direction of Bucci, who is unable to come up with the throw.
It's like Bucci looked for that little extra head of steam to catch up to that ball, and his feet kind of ground under his feet just gave.
Can't really fault either Wurzel or Bucci right there. Bucci had the whereabouts to turn around and see the ball coming, and Wurzel was able to get it away before he took the big sack.
So Green will check back into the game, and it appears that Chang will not be checking out.
And Zambelli is going to get a quick breather on the sideline. As you said, Ryan Green is in the game. So the wideouts are Dan Chang and Ryan Mink with Wurzel under center. He drops back to pass again. Once again, a good pass rush, but he finds Green in the open field, who shakes one tackler and is able to just barely pick up enough for the first down.
Warzel was almost trucked right there. That could have been a huge turnover if he held on to the ball a little longer.
That is now 3 plays in a row where Wurzel has faced immense pressure from the defensive line. And it looks like the 5-2 defense is working here in the early going, despite the touchdown given up.
You have to give a lot of the credit, though, to Nick Wurzel. I mean, he's staying in the pocket, doing everything he possibly can. The offensive line not giving him too much protection.
And they go back to the run, and a solid hit by the linebacker, number 51, Sean Jesh, who just broke up the middle of the line, got by Goudy and the rest of the Wayne Hills guards and made a killer blow in the backfield as it's now 2nd and 11.
Time winding down here in the first quarter, 26 seconds left.
And if that was not the last play of the quarter, this is...
It's actually looking as if Wayne Hills is going to wind down the clock and wait for the second half to do
Ryan Mink is walking over to Coach Olson, and it now looks like the rest of the team will, as there are now 3, 2, and 1, and the first quarter is over. It's in the books, and Wayne Hills is out to a 6-0 lead. First impressions, guys?
Wayne Hills special teams keeping him in this game, and Nick Wurzel looks a lot more comfortable back there than he has earlier in the season.
Grant?
Great. Great quarter by Wayne Hills. Really got the momentum going. They could have maybe had one or two touchdown, another touchdown right there, but you know it happens.
Esposito showed some flashes of his electricness, was able to get away from a few tackles here and there, but not able to break anything too big, as Wayne Hills has kept him and the rest of the offense under wraps. And with the ball placed at around the Demarest 44-yard line, the second quarter will begin. And looking at the Demarest defense, you can see they're 5-2, sometimes called a 3-4, but the way they played, they bring up both outside linebackers as defensive ends, allowing them to bring more pressure on the offensive line.
Seems to be working early on. Wurzel just forced to scramble and forced to make some throws that he probably wouldn't, but they have been good throws.
And when you see this defense, it's usually with teams that have good personnel with speedy outside linebackers, such as the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL.
Yeah, Demarest appears to have the speed that they need.
And the second quarter begins with the Patriots in their base I formation. And Bucci receives the pitch out to the left and gets good yardage, broke through the opening that the fullback formed for him, Chris Zambelli, and it's now 2nd and 3. Third and 4. Wurzel comes back to the huddle with the third down call. And Zambelli and Bucci will stay in the backfield, and Mink and Chang will stay as the wideouts. And here's Wurzel, who fakes the handoff, rolls out to his right, throws it back to the other side of the field to Bucci, who is well covered by the Demarest defense, and that was number 10, Eddie Guerrera, who just made a killer blow for a loss of 7 yards, and we'll see Farina punt it away.
Yeah, you'll have to excuse us if we're a little bit slow on the names. We're working in front of the press box tonight, and the sheet's just soaked.
Yeah, but the rain doesn't affect us. We're out here, rain or shine.
We're like the postmen.
And it's also extremely cold tonight. And Farina gets off a bomb to around the 10-yard line, and it takes a Wayne Hills bounce, and Ryan Green will down it at around the 5-yard line.
And it looks like some Wayne Hills fans are upset. Ryan Mink was clipped in the back clearly, and some of these coaches are really upset about that.
Yeah, clipping penalty, in case you're unaware. An illegal block to the back, and it definitely appeared that Green was shoved from behind, but no call by the refs. And Demarest will start with awful field position at around the 9-yard line.
Come on, Joe!
So Esposito will line under center, this time with 2 wideouts, and for the first time tonight, we see a fullback in the backfield. And Esposito gives it off to Greer, trying to break it outside, but unsuccessful, as he's taken down by Ryan Green after a gain of about 3. And also with Ryan Green on that play, Udiabilo was in on the tackle. Udiabilo, who in our previous home game we saw was the MVP with a couple of forced fumbles, a recovered fumble, and a huge 50-yard reception. So back to this game, Esposito dropping back looking for a man, and he finds Greer out of the backfield, who is running up the left sideline for a very good gain of about 20 yards and a first down. So Ray Greer, the running back who was being recruited by Rutgers, showing flashes right there.
Ray Greer, he's just so big, so strong, and so fast, and he's been hit 4 or 5 times tonight and hasn't fallen backwards in any of them.
Yeah, some of the coaches were saying not only is he fast, he's big and he's built. Kind of like a Jerome Bettis type running back. A faster version.
Jerome Bettis without the knee problems.
A-train.
Chicago Bears fan?
No.
Oh. Well, Esposito he gives the handoff to Greer, who gives a couple stiff arms and then is just leveled by the cornerback Bucci. Bucci comes up a little limp on the play, but he delivered a blow, or maybe it was Greer who delivered the blow to Bucci. So number 4, Salamando as the wide out on the bottom of your screen. Greer's in the backfield with Esposito under center, who drops back to pass. No, it's a reverse to number 2, Keith Scaglione, who is able to pick up a good chunk of yardage, about 7 yards, and depending on where the spot is, Demarest might have a first down. So some trickeration right there by the Norsemen. And it looks like the officials have spotted it just short of the first down markers. And now unsure they're going to come out for an official measurement, as the Chang gang will come out into the field, led by science teacher, Mr. Raffini. Can't say enough about Mr. Raffini. He's out here every home game working the chains, whether it's cold, warm, rainy, foggy, whatever the weather, he's here.
Mr. Raffini, he's a trooper and he loves his football.
And it looks like Demarest is short by just a couple inches on the play, so it will be third and very short.
So with third and maybe 1, maybe even less than 1, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to give the Patriots defense a dose of Mr. Greer.
Yeah, that's what, and maybe that's what the Patriots are thinking as well. Maybe a little reverse psychology. Maybe you'll see some play action, but I don't think it's worth the risk here. Just pound it up the middle with your big back Greer. And we will see what they are going to do right here as Esposito receives the snap and indeed does give it to Greer up the middle, who breaks through, and if not for the ref, he might have gone all the way as Kavanaugh takes him down at the Patriot 49-yard line. And the referee right there, maybe with a touchdown-saving play, getting in the way of Greer.
I tell you, Justin, this game now is all about explosion these days, and that's what Greer was all about. As Kavanaugh was still hanging on to him at the last second, he was just pumping and pumping. Almost broke away.
One of the first things football coaches will tell you when you sign up is always keep your legs moving, because you could always break away if you keep those legs churning. And Esposito gives the toss to Greer, looking for a hole and finds one, but Adiabilo takes him down after about 4 yards on the play.
As you can see, the Demarest offense is really starting to go to more running now, even though their thing is passing.
Yeah, you're probably going to see more doses of Mr. Greer, because I don't know if you can tell, but the rain is still coming down, which might make it hard for the passing game. So the Norsemen have taken out their fullback, who's been in for quite a few plays now, and go back to their 3 wide receiver set. Esposito drops back for the screen pass, and it is complete, but they will not gain any yardage as this play goes for null.
Pass was complete to Thomas Wan, the senior.
So right here, 3rd and 6. Probably going to see Esposito drop back for a short slant pattern, as that is what the Norsemen like to run. They like to run short crossing patterns, try and set picks on the linebackers, and if not, look for Esposito to take off running. And it looks like Wayne Hills is blitzing, and they bring the house as Ryan Green looks like he has a shot at Esposito. Esposito got away, but underthrew his intended receiver, and Wayne Hills was bringing everyone on that play.
Lucky play by Wayne Hills there. They were so lucky that the pass was underthrown. If that weren't, that would have sure to be a touchdown.
Yeah, bringing everyone but the 2 cornerbacks to the safety right there. The wide receiver had run a nice pattern and had gotten open, but Esposito looked like he slipped before he threw it, underthrew his man, or else that could have been a touchdown. And here's the captain, Juan, who successfully gets off a punt for the first time tonight, but doesn't go very far as it bounces out around the 25-yard line, and they will officially spot it at the 24. And now this Patriots offense will take the field with a slim 6-0 lead. With just about 6 and change left in this quarter. Now the usual suspects on the field for the Patriots, Mink, Chang, and Bucci. And Bucci has a huge hole on the bottom of your screen. And he gets to the sideline, and he could be gone. He's at the 50. He's got one man to beat. But he takes him down, but Bucci with a huge run, and that will go for about 35 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah, if Richie Gilad, number 5 there for Demarest, didn't give up his body, Bucci's gone.
And as soon as that play started, you saw a hole that a Mack truck could have drove through. At least 10 yards of daylight on Bucci's left side, and he just exploded through, got the sideline, and was able to pick up a huge gain on the play and put Wayne Hills back on the, maybe able to set Wayne Hills up for another score.
Must be nice to be that fast.
Only imagine. So once again, Wayne Hills keeps the same personnel on the field as Wurzel receives a snap, and they go back to their bread and butter, Andrew Bucci, who picks up about 3 yards on the play.
Bucci on the carry. Thompson and Goodman in on the tackle.
Now, Jesse Farina looked like he was going to check into the game, but comes out in favor of Dan Chang.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
And so far, it looks like the Patriots offense has come up with ways to get around this unusual 5-2 defense. And we'll see if they can do it again here with Chang and Mink as the wideouts and Bucci in the backfield. So they fake the counterplay to Bucci. Zambelli is wide open in the flat, and he gets past one man and gets into the red zone as the ball will be downed at around the 15-yard line.
So with 5 minutes and 32 seconds here in the first half, Wayne Hills is beating Demarest 6-0, both teams with 3 timeouts left.
So the ball is spotted closer to the 20, and the official signals for the clock to continue running, and that it will.
Ball spotted on the Norseman 20.
And now Farina has checked back into the game for Dan Chang, as you see him on the bottom of your screen, number 7. And Bucci gets the carry again, and he just carries number 10 on his back. Number 10 would be Eddie Guerrera, and Bucci earned all 5 yards on that play.
Bucci, like you said before, just keeping the legs moving. Not the biggest guy in the world, but quick, and he kept the legs moving.
But Bucci lacks in size, he makes up with heart. So Adiabilo lines up as a tight end with Bucci in the backfield, who receives the ball. And Jesse Farina with a good block up by the sideline as he sprung Andrew Bucci for at least an extra 5 yards. And you can't say enough about wide receivers who can block.
Running out of bounds by Richie Gilad.
It looked like Bucci was going to be taken down for about a 2-yard gain, but Jesse Farina took his man and manhandled him back to the middle of the field, allowing Bucci to turn the corner. Looking to the sideline, you see Caleb, who missed his first extra point, warming up, trying not to make the same mistake again. And it looks like Bucci broke the plane, and it's another Wayne Hills touchdown as the score is now 12-0. So Wayne Hills defense shutting out the Norseman offense, and the Patriots offense doing their job as they're currently up a dozen right now with 4:21 left in the second quarter.
So Wurzel staying in the game, and it appears that they will go for 2 to try to get the score 14-0, make it a 2-touchdown game.
So GM Papa comes in as an extra fullback, so they have a full house in the backfield, and Wurzel fakes the handoff, and he has Ryan Green wide open in the left side of the end zone, and that was just too easy, as the score is now 14-0.
Great catch by Ryan Green. Key.
Yeah, although it may have looked like an easy play, you got to remember the rain is coming down pretty hard tonight. Not horribly hard, but enough that it can make an effect on the play. But Ryan Green shook off the weather and made the catch in the end zone. And here comes Nick Wurzel, who is handling the kickoff duties for tonight's game. Kind of surprising we're not seeing Andrew Bucci. He always does a pretty good job on kickoffs and field goals, but Wayne Hills must have saw something in practice this week that made them go to another game plan. Wurzel kicked it out of bounds last time. Let's see if he can correct what he did. And once again, it's going to the right sideline, but Demarest fields it at around the 5-yard line and takes it upfield and is knocked out of bounds at around the 25-yard line. And the Wayne Hills defense, led by senior captain Chris Zambelli, will try to shut out Demarest yet again.
Key kick for the Wayne Hills team. This Demarest team, as the ball is spotted, has bad field position. Therefore, if Wayne Hills holds them and they punt, then they will get great field position.
And Esposito receives the snap and pitches it out to Greer, who is looking for a corner to turn, but there is no corner as he slides out of bounds for about a 2-yard gain. So the linebackers and the cornerback stayed on contain and did not let Greer find any running room. Demarest coming to the line with 3 wide receivers and Greer in the backfield. And he sends number 5 in motion to form trips on the top of your screen. And Esposito will drop back looking for one of his 3 receivers. And it looks like he has someone beat, but number 20 was right there on the coverage. And number 20 would be Pete DeSico. That was great coverage. If he had a little more height on his jump, could have picked it off, but can't say enough about the play right there.
After the ball was tipped, it was almost intercepted by Ryan. Very close play.
So Pete DeSico hasn't really gotten too much of a chance to contribute on offense tonight, but
so the highly touted Esposito nearly picked for the 2nd time tonight. Wayne Hills stacks the defensive line with 5 down linemen, and it looks like Zambelli is rushing the passer, and he is. Zambelli and Odiabilo got in the backfield, but Greer was wide open, and it looks like he's going to score. He is at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 15, 10, 5 touchdown. And Wayne Hills is bit in the rear, bringing everyone to the quarterback, leaving no one in the defensive backfield to take down Greer once he caught that pass.
As you can see, Coach Olsen is extremely upset with the defense that Mr. Ziza has just called. Furiously yelling.
And you saw Wayne Hills stacking the line. It looked like they had 8 men in the box, and they all blitzed the quarterback, and Esposito stared them all down, held onto it at the very last second, and the screen was set up beautifully. You can't set up a screen any better than that, and Greer had 60 yards of open grass to play with.
Nothing Wayne Hills can do about that.
And right there, it looks like the kicker slipped on this wet field, and the score will remain 14-6. I always hate when you slip in front of everyone, huh?
yeah, it's embarrassing, but it happens to everyone, especially on a night like tonight.
And right now, 3:47 left here in the first half, and Wayne Hills is up 14-6. Wayne Hills, knowing they need this game for any shot at a league championship, has come out strong tonight, as that touchdown was their first slip-up. And DeSico and Bucci, who are deep to return, look to answer back.
All the way for the Patriots.
So Mike Siebold, who just got acquainted with the ground here at Patriot Stadium to kick off for the Norsemen.
And he's able to keep his footing on this kick as Giampapa will field it. And he looks to just run upfield for a hole, and he finds one. And Giampapa, surprising return on this play. One of the wedge men returns into the 45, and this is great starting field position for the Patriots.
Wayne Hills Patriots, the special teams tonight has just been very important in this game. Great field position for the Patriots.
Already 2 block punts for the Patriots, and right there, a big return of about 30 to 35 yards.
Yeah, with the exception of that missed extra point, which could probably be attributed to the weather, just played flawless.
Right now, that mistake has been erased with the 2-point conversion. And Bucci will receive the handoff, and he is taken down immediately.
Appeared to be Sean Jesh.
So Bucci, used to looking at broad daylight when he hits the line, sees nothing but Norseman defenders, and is taken down for a loss of 2.
Second and 11 on the 43.
Gelock and the rest of the Wayne Hills line comes to the line of scrimmage, and Wayne Hills in their normal I formation. And Wurzel about to be hit from the blind side, but gets the pass off, and it is nearly picked off. Looked like the Norseman defender was running the pattern, and Wurzel had to get that passed off as he was about to get hammered by the blitzing D end.
That was number 8, Thomas Wan for the Norsemen.
Wayne Hills looking to catch the Norseman off guard with the play action, but Wurzel nearly got leveled, just got the pass off in time, but it was nearly intercepted. And on the coverage on that play was the senior, Thomas Wan. Here's Wurzel, probably going to drop back to pass on this play on 3rd and long. And he has Mink wide open, overthrows him a little, but Mink pops up, makes the catch, gets both feet in, and strolls out of bounds, stopping the clock at 2:48.
Ryan Mink being key with some catches. The man has hands of steel. Unlike how I can't feel my hands.
Hands of steel or hands of glue?
Actually, the hands of Cody Chrusciel. The kid can catch anything when he's catching. Of course, that's Cody Chrusciel, my co-announcer, star catcher for the JV baseball team.
And back to the sport of hand football. Ryan Mink is found once again for an 11-yard gain. It appears he had forward momentum that should have had him the first down, but the referees are not going to give it to him, as it appears he's 1 yard short. But Ryan Mink so far coming up with some big catches in tonight's game, totaling around, a rough estimate, 60 yards.
Once again, hands of steel.
So Farina is checked into the game at wide receiver along with Mink. And Bucci straight up the middle, and he gets what he needed for the first down. So Bucci has been the workhorse tonight, with both Wayne Hills touchdowns.
Wayne Hills offense appears to be clicking on all cylinders right now. The passing game with Wurzel and the running game with Bucci.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Wurzel has missed on a pass tonight.
I think he might have one incompletion.
Actually, that is correct. One incompletion where he was being pressured and tried to throw it out into the flat to Bucci, but besides that, he's been perfect.
Yes, he has.
So we'll see what play Coach Olson sent into his quarterback, Wurzel, as he takes his position under center. And he fakes the handoff to Bucci, and it looks like he has Mink open on the left side, but he underthrew him, and it was nearly picked as Ryan Mink was a wide receiver turned cornerback on that play, knocking it out of the hands of the cornerback. Ryan Mink had his man beat, but Wurzel underthrew it a little. If he put that ball about 5 yards deeper, that would have been a touchdown.
That was Scaglione with the coverage and the deflection for Northern Valley.
So Ryan Mink with a great defensive play there. knocking the ball out of the hands of Scaglione.
Sometimes that's all you have to do.
Once again, Scaglione is matched up against Mink on the bottom of your screen. And they fake the handoff up the middle and pitch it out to Bucci, who has a lot of insurance to work with. But he is taken down short of the first down. And it looks like Wayne Hills will go for it here. Well, actually, it's only third down, so of course they're going to go for it. Pulled him Hideki Matsui there, who in last night's instant classic game started walking to third after 3 balls.
And
Walking to first.
Like we mentioned before, it's cold and it's rainy here.
And here's Wurzel, as it is now third down and about 2 yards for the Patriots. And they go with the same play, other direction. It looks like Bucci is contained, but he breaks away from the tackler with the stiff arm. And a great effort by Bucci to pick up the first down. And the clock stops with about 45 seconds left here in the first quarter, first half. So if Wayne Hills is able to get on the board again, even with a field goal, they will take a 2-possession lead. And here on their home field and the way their defense is playing, that might be enough to take this game.
Sure, Coach Olson will be very happy if they can get a 2-score lead.
Wurzel drops back to pass.
Out, and he gets the pass away, it looks like. He threw it at the back of his lineman. It looks like the ref will let it slide as Wurzel definitely held on too long. Looked like he was going to eat it and fall for the sack, but got it away at the last second. And after what Coach Olson saw right there, he might be content with running Bucci up the middle a couple times, as he still has all his timeouts.
So the rain's starting to pick up here in Wayne.
Yeah, the rain is really picking up now as it's coming down pretty hard.
So a lot of umbrellas pop up in the last couple minutes.
And Olson allowing Wurzel to drop back to pass, and it is batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Wurzel's pass is knocked down. Knocked down by Ray Greer.
And there was the halfback playing defense right now, obviously. Greer getting his hands on the ball. And both bands from both schools getting ready to take the field at halftime, which is only 35 seconds of game time left.
And Justin, a little off topic here, but you really got to give a salute to the water boys and the ball boys. I mean, they are just running on and off the field, giving it all their best. Something, it's going to come out into the long run that when they become Patriots themselves here to play football, the very same team.
And as you can tell, unlike the football players who are wearing all the pads and helmets, the water boys are without those assets, so they're freezing their little, I guess you say rear ends off on the sideline, but they don't care. They're hardcore. As you see, one of the watermen looks like he might have a limp, but he doesn't care. He's fighting through it. So here's Wurzel with two men in the backfield and three wide receivers. Wurzel drops back to pass, looks for Mink again, who makes a catch but cuts back into the middle of the field. And the clock is ticking with 26 seconds left, where Wayne Hills will call timeout. And it's going to be third and very short.
Dan Domicoli stayed with his block just long enough for Nick Wurzel to get that ball away. Very nice job there.
In the words of Dave Rogers, who cannot be with us tonight, that's one big mamma jamma.
Yes, he is one big mamma jamma.
Like Rogers said, like Dave Rogers said, you see him walking down the halls, get out of his way. a shout out to Dave right now, hoping you feel better.
And our sponsors for this game, Wayne Hills TV. Also one of our sponsors.
We have sponsors?
Yes.
Wasn't I informed of this? Take that up with Mr. Hook straight after the game.
The Wayne Hills Band. Now, Justin, tell me, in your situation right here, if you were Coach Olson, what do you think he's telling this team right now?
Well, obviously he's pretty happy with the 14-6 lead right now, as Demarest, some people thought was the better team. He's just telling his team, even a field goal right now would be good, putting them up by 11 points, which, as we all know, would take at least 2 scores to tie it up. So he's probably just telling his men, don't turn the ball over because they have a golden opportunity to score. And he gives it to his fullback. It looked like Ryan Green got the carry, and he punched it up the middle for a first down. And Wayne Hills uses their final timeout of the first half.
And that was Andrew Bucci, the running back, number 22.
I tell you, on that play, I really think he's trying to either center the ball for the future so they can kick a field goal, or they're trying to punch it in, obviously.
Yeah, well, with 20 seconds left and all 3 timeouts used, Wayne Hills maybe has another time for a run and spike the ball, or they might take a couple shots at the end zone through the air. But we'll just have to wait and see what they do.
Wayne Hills almost at the goal line. They have 3 good fullbacks. So I look for him just to pound the ball with one of them.
Yeah, the 3 fullbacks you're referring to, Chris Zambelli and Ryan Green, both seniors, and junior Joe Giampapa. And don't forget, Andrew Bucci, although not big, is a bruising running back. So they definitely have the manpower to get in. And we'll see if Coach Olson thinks that too.
Once again, Coach Olson trying to, talk to his team, calm them down. He's telling them that they got to put it in right now. And that's what it's all about. And listen to this crowd go nuts on the last play of the half.
And Wurzel with the play action pass, nearly intercepted, but it went off the hands of the defender, almost right into the hands of Ryan Green, who couldn't come up with it. So there's one shot on the end zone, and it's now 2nd and goal.
It was a great play call, although, besides the defender being right there, it took up a little time. It did not take much time at all.
And they had me fooled. I thought they were going up the middle to Bucci. But Wurzel rolled out to his right and threw it to Green, who looked to be open, but the linebacker, with good recovery speed, was able to get there and bat it down. And now Wayne Hills, on 2nd down, will take their 2nd stab at the end zone. And Wurzel, once again with play action, looking for man in the end zone. And there's Uddy. He had him open, had a step on the linebacker, but it was a little overthrown, and Uddy not able to bring it in.
Looked like that same exact play from that 2-point conversion that got them the 14 points.
Good coverage on the play by Scaglione.
So now it's 3rd down with 10 seconds left. If Wayne Hills is not kicking the field goal right here, got to believe they're going to take another shot at the end zone through the air, because with a run, the clock will just wind down, and that would be the end of the half.
So Mink and Chang will check in for the Patriots, as Giampapa and Zambelli will take a seat.
Yeah, so as you said, they're bringing in the personnel to take a shot at the end zone through the air, taking out 2 fullbacks and bringing in speedier players.
Now, Justin, what do you think the next play is?
It's got to be a pass. I don't even know if they're going to go play action, because I don't think the Norsemen are looking for a run at all. With only 10 seconds left in the first half, you definitely got to go through the air here. And then if you're unable to score, just bring on the field goal kicker and go into the locker room happy, up by 11 points. Cody, what do you think?
Completely agree. I think we're going to see pretty much what we saw the last 2 plays, maybe to the other side.
And Mink and Chang are the 2 receivers in. And Chang will motion to the top of your screen. And Wayne Hills drops straight back. And Wurzel nearly avoids the sack, throws it away, which was a smart play because if he went down right there, that was the end of the first half. And now Wayne Hills will bring on the field goal kicking unit to try and go up by a score of 17-6.
Nick Warzel is playing a very smart game of football here tonight.
And a little change of plans with the Wayne Hills team as Bucci goes in to kick and Demarest holds.
Bucci, much more of a short kicker as he...
And it is no good. Wide right.
That angle from up here, it looked
right.
like Bucci bombed that straight through the uprights, but it was wide right. Kind of like Florida State Seminoles against Miami every year, but that's another story for another day. As right now, the Wayne Hills Patriots go into the locker room, up 14-6, and the bands will take the field.
Justin, get your head out of my camera.
Must be freezing, man.
Oh.
Or should I say,
Yo.
alright, you know what's up with me? When we do the editing, we have got to get a sense. I think we can get one of those things that Radio Shack that sort of like.
And now, 2003 Marching Norsemen.
Norseman son. Norseman son.
I'll be back.
I will be back.
Thanks.
I know. Just want to. Dude, my battery's like 2/3 of the way down. I meant 1/3 of the way down. Sorry. We started 2/3 of the way. Want your gloves?
I'm really upset that you're adopted, man.
Yeah, what's the matter?
So I won't yell at you or make any shit with you, but just don't talk. If you're adopted, I don't want anything to do with you. Don't even say a word. I'll be nice to you, I won't make fun of you, but just don't talk. Especially if you're adopted, man.
Hurry up and see.
But if you like me, I don't like
I hit the wireless on first.
you. I'm not even adopted, man. I will never be adopted, man. I don't make fun of you. I just meant that if you're adopted, man, me and Blake, adopted, man.
Okay, I'll try to refrain from wearing this jacket. I just gotta get the light. I have a jacket and I'll be okay.
Are you adopted, man, or not?
Not really. I just found this off. No, they are still doing. They are doing pretty good.
Who's Carrie?
I don't know. Maybe down by the afternoon. Hey, wait a minute. Don't mess with the camera.
besides football? Like, are you gonna do like? I like basketball.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to unplug this because this is twisting. It's not supposed to.
No, Kathy.
Right. Just
Mr.
turn it
Hook
off.
Shape.
It was twisted when it wasn't supposed to be. That's how these cables break. You twist them around something and they
Never
break.
mind. It's not even English.
Because it possibly has this thing on. So if you want to speak to him, you have to go downstairs.
Why did you shave? You don't like the beard?
Oh, I wish I bought some money.
Why did you even come if you came so late? What happened? Nothing's the matter. Everything's okay. Say that again.
Sorry about that. I was accidentally locked on.
So no more break for you, right, Daddy?
Sure doesn't seem like that.
No, she said she's gonna have that keep the half off. It's just you, me, and
Hey. Yes, more little homie.
Mr. Hookshake. Can you ask Jason Leach if he's gonna want to work camera in the fourth quarter? Oh, Matt, did you fart? Honey.
Alright, which one you be?
Max just farted in the press box.
Daddy farted. Oh, shit.
I did not fart, damn it! Shit. Oh shit, that smells.
Oh, Mr. Hookshake.
I gotta get. I have.
Who?
Daddy farted. Oh.
Shit, it smells. Oh.
NVA State Marching Band Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wayne Hills Patriot Marching Band.
What?
Enjoying that hamburger?
I am. Thank you.
That's how I'm starting. I'm going to be like, hey, we're back in the second half. Grant, how's that hamburger
We're
treating you?
back with hand warmers, and Grant is eating a hamburger.
And we're back here in the second half. And Grant, how's that hamburger treating you?
It's cheeseburger and it's great.
And right now, the temperature is extremely cold right now. I mean, I don't know what it is right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this rain turn to snow.
Yeah, I was watching the news, and it was supposed to go down to like 38 or something today. But on the plus side, we did manage to get some hand warmers up here.
Amen to that, brother.
Hand warmers better last us all the second half because there's no signs of the weather warming up. And on the topic of football, though, Wayne Hills came out storming in the first half and currently holds a 14-6 lead. Any predictions on the second half? You think Wayne Hills could hold on?
I think it's going to be pretty much the same story, dominating special teams for Wayne Hills.
Grant, what do you think Wayne Hills will hold on?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to still go with my prediction from the beginning of the game, 14-13. Demarest is just going to pick up a touchdown, and they're going to kick a field goal. I don't know why, but they will.
So, Justin and Grant, what's your impression of Ray Greer, running back for Northern Valley Demarest, in the first half?
Well, he hasn't had the ball as much as I thought he would. You know, good scouting report on him, big, strong kid. Esposito had a lot of opportunities to throw the ball, but from what I saw of Greer, the scouting reports are true. He's a big kid, he runs with power, and he always keeps his knees moving, which is very key as we went over. And pretty much whenever he got the ball, he went for positive yardage, even if someone hit him in the backfield. I was pretty impressed with him.
He's made it pretty clear to this Patriot defense that if you want to come tackle me, fine, but you're going to pay the price.
And even though he is a big kid, we saw his speed, that which he demonstrated on that huge screen pass that he took about 65 yards to the house.
And that really has been the only offense for Demarest today, except for that one nice pass Esposito threw in the first quarter, I believe it was.
A slant pattern over the middle where his wide receiver had Mink just barely beat, and he put the ball right on the money.
Hey, Justin, let me ask you a question. What do you think of me as a boxer?
What was that?
What do you think of me as a boxer?
As a boxer?
Yep,
You know, like Tyson Holyfield boxer?
Tyson Holyfield boxer.
Maybe we'll talk about this another day, but I don't know. I think you could take someone. You got a good reach.
About 30 inches.
It's impressive. And Demarest will start the ball at the second half as they take the opening kickoff, and he's only got the kicker to beat. And actually, it was Bucci who takes him down around the 50-yard line, but that is not a good sign for Wayne Hills, who is kind of leaning on their special teams all first half, and right here, kind of a slip-up.
I think on that last play, Wayne Hills was a little overconfident, thinking that they were going to just come in and destroy this team like they did in the first half. And now they're starting to realize because of that play, it was a good sign to show that they can't be too overconfident during this game.
On that return, you saw Denny Amsel with a great return of about 40 yards, and he just ran up the field and wasn't going to be denied.
Sorry, Denny, if we botched your name, as it might be Benny or Lenny, because there's a hole in our score sheet.
Right now, Demarest lining up with the fullback in the backfield, something you don't see very much. And that is Greer right up the middle, spinning away from a couple tacklers and running backwards to around the 46-yard line, and that's a gain of 6.
Demarest really has to just continue to pound the ball with Greer. And he has the speed to make the big play, as we saw in the first half.
Every time he touches the ball, he's getting positive yards, around 4 or 5, maybe more carries, so something's got to give eventually. And here's Demarest once again with the fullback in the backfield as Esposito is under center. And once again it's Greer, but the ref blows the play dead, and we'll see what the call is.
Looks like a little too much movement on the line there.
Yeah, most likely offsides on Demarest.
Cody, how those
And it looks as if treating you right now.
So far, so good. Better than the first half. I can actually feel my hand.
And we were correct. That was an offsides penalty, so Demarest moves back 5 yards, and they'll redo the play.
How about you, Justin? Are you slightly warmer?
Not quite, but a little change of wardrobe at halftime, hand warmers. Maybe a little warm, but that's not saying too much right now.
At least the rain's starting to stop, though, so that's good.
Cheeseburger kind of helped me out.
Knock on wood right there with the rain comment. Here's Esposito driving back. Finds Greer again, and Greer putting on some nifty moves and gets leveled by Kavanaugh, but stays on his feet and picks up 11 yards for the first down.
Greer just broke a key tackle by Zambelli, which gave them the first down, and now the chains are moving.
I think Greer's made it fairly obvious that it takes more than one person to bring him down. You saw Kavanaugh, broken hand and all, trying to tackle him, and then Zambelli, but it took a swarm of Patriots to bring him down.
In the beginning of the game, we compared Greer to a faster, more elusive Jerome Bettis, but right now he's showing he can catch the ball in the backfield too, so maybe that's an unfair comparison for Greer. And there is Greer, 7 yards behind his quarterback in the backfield, and looks like they're running an option, and he pitches it back to Greer, who picks up about 5-6 yards on first down.
So Justin, getting into the music a little bit there. Anything to stay warm?
Come to so many home games over 4 years, starts to grow on you a little. And Demarest taking the fullback out of the equation, putting in 3 wide receivers on this play. And looked like the defensive line might have jumped, but they got back in time. And Greer with a massive stiff arm right there. He just threw his defender to the ground. And that looked like Pete DeSico was the recipient of a nasty stiff arm. Oh, that was painful to watch.
Kavanaugh with 2 huge tackles on the last 2 plays.
Kavanaugh, kind of Wayne Hill's version of Ronnie Lott, coming up, lays the wood every time.
So the only spot on Greer's jersey that isn't covered in mud is right behind his neck. He's been in every play, I think, for Demarest, and he's gotten probably at least 10 or 11 carries tonight.
Unlike Wayne Hills, who also utilizes their fullback, Demarest usually doesn't have a fullback in, although they have him right now, but it looked like it was a reserve lineman, number 71, and Greer has just been the workhorse, getting every single carry tonight.
So Wayne Hill's going with a lot of 3-back sets tonight.
And actually, so far, it seems in the second half, besides that last play, that the fullback has been working pretty well for them. Getting those first blocks, Greer breaks the tackle and he breaks away.
Yeah, number 71, James Thompson, who is a captain, it looked like, has been playing fullback the past few plays, and it's been working. Like you said, big body, taking on the linebackers, clearing up some holes.
And he has stepped it up.
That he has. And here comes Mr. Raffini and the rest of the chain gang, trying to see if Demarest did pick up the first down. And it looks like Demarest is just going to be short, but we'll wait till they put the sticks down on the ground. And it is going to be 4th down by about maybe less than a centimeter right there. That was pretty close. Looked like Demarest might have had it by the nose of the ball, but you got to imagine they're going to go for it here with so little to gain.
Yeah, really, Greer has just been the workhorse tonight, and I have to imagine that they're just going to keep going back to him.
I think we might see a little refrigerator Perry action here. Give it to the lineman in the backfield.
Big William Perry.
And right here, for the first time tonight, we see Demarest coming in with 3 men in the backfield, and you can't really say much about that right there. Demarest not having their heads in the game, as I think that was number 71. The captain jumped off sides, and that hurts. That really kills an offensive drive.
And that was a 4th and 1 play, which is a huge momentum play.
You know how I said coaches say to keep your legs moving? They also say keep your head in the game and don't jump off sides, and he didn't do that right there.
And it looks as if Demarest is going for it.
Yeah, so even though they lost 5 yards there, they're still going to go for it. And Greer will stay in the game, no surprise there. And Esposito will have 3 wide receivers to toy with. And he sends one of them in motion to the bottom of your screen. And Esposito drops back in the pocket. He's got a lot of time to throw, and he finds a man over the middle, but he heard the footsteps of Ryan Green, who pummeled him as he touched it. And the ball goes flying an extra 10 yards, and Wayne Hills will take over.
Ryan Green's just been all over the place tonight, all over the place.
Big defensive stop right there as Wayne Hills will now retain possession with an 8-point lead. So with 3 minutes and change gone by here in the third quarter, Wayne Hills still maintains an 8-point lead with the score 14-6. And right here it's first down. Wurzel gives it to his fullback, Ryan Green, who picks up a tough 5 yards on first down. And once again, Ryan Green's name being called.
And here comes Jesse Farina from the sidelines, coming in as a wide receiver, as we talked about earlier.
He's been in a lot of plays, but so far no balls thrown his way. Ryan Mink has been the main receiver. We'll see if that'll change right here. And no, it won't, as Bucci will get it. And he tries to give a stiff arm to number 9, which is Greer. So after Greer stiff-armed DeSigo to the ground, Bucci tries to stiff-arm Greer, and nothing doing there as Bucci loses yards on the play.
So Greer having a very nice game on both sides of the ball, not just offense as the power running back, but on defense as well, coming up with a bunch of key tackles.
We all knew he could do it on the offensive side of the ball, but he's coming up big on the defensive side as well. And Ryan Mink will stay in the game on the bottom of your screen. I believe he's been in on every play so far for Wayne Hills. And Bucci gets the carry again, but picks up, I believe, 0 yards on the play, so it's going to be 4th and 6, and Wayne Hills will be forced to punt. And so far this game, Jesse Farina has showed off some great punting ability as he's let off a few bombs.
And look at that ball boy hustle off.
And we'll see if Farina can get off another good kick, and that's a high one. The coverage team gets down there quickly and forces number 5, I believe is, hold on, Vinny Esposito.
So no, I believe that was Gillard.
Who even knows? These sheets are so torn up right now. We're just going off the top of our heads. And there's your ball boy again, hustling off the field.
Showing a lot of heart tonight.
So from the starting center to the running backs, to the wide receivers, to the water boys and the ball boys, everyone giving 110% effort tonight. Here's Demarest, desperately trying to get something going as they face a 14-6 deficit. Nothing doing for Greer right there as he is stopped immediately at the line of scrimmage.
So with the score of 14-6 here at Patriot Stadium with 6.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
And Wayne Hill showing an unusual defense with 2 safeties right now. And 2 cornerbacks, usually showing only 1 safety, Kyle Cavanaugh. And let's see if it pays off here as Esposito goes back to pass. And a great defensive play right there by the senior Dan Chang. So they move Mink to safety, bringing Chang as an extra cornerback, and the move pays off.
Almost looked like it could have been offensive pass interference there.
Yeah, it definitely did. It looked like the receiver kind of tackled Chang before the ball got there, but the ref didn't think so, and it stands as a great defensive play by Dan Chang. Esposito confused right now maybe about the play calling. Doesn't have enough men on the field, it appeared, and Demarest will be forced to call their first time out of the second half.
And look at the Wayne Hills. Hear the Wayne Hills crowd going nuts. Yeah, here we go now.
I don't know what I can say about that right there. It seems like Grant's the only one cheering. But you can't argue that the fans are really happy with the outcome of the games as of now.
Not a very big crowd tonight, but when Patriots have had something go their way, a nice play, they've really been into it, and you have to give them credit, braving the elements like they have.
And when you look around the bleachers, pretty much everyone has an umbrella right now except for us.
Scores, highlights, and interviews, including after the game tomorrow between Patterson Catholic and Saddlebrook. Tomorrow's GHTV game of the week.
Grant, I can't help but notice the Mets hat you have on you. A Met fan?
Of course, Justin, got to stay loyal. Got to be the underdog now. Can't be a front runner like everyone else, right?
How'd you enjoy that Yankee game last night?
I actually fell asleep in the 8th inning, but it was quite interesting. I was rooting for actually, I was kind of hoping that Boston would win at the same time. I was kind of felt bad for the Yankees, so I was happy that they won.
We all know Cody and me are big Yankee fans, but back to football. Esposito rolling out, and he's pressured by Abilo, and he comes up with a big sack around 8 yards in the backfield, and this is going to be 4th and 18, and Demarest will have no choice but to punt. So, Cody, how about Aaron Boone?
Aaron Boone, great acquisition for the Yankees. He has played an amazing third base for them, and just a key hit.
Doesn't get more clutch than that. So here's Wong with the punt, and for the third time tonight, it looks like Wayne Hills got a piece of that. So it will only be about an 18-yard punt, and Wayne Hills will have magnificent field position inside the 40.
And as you could see, the Demarest special teams isn't exactly working. Missed field goal, couple bad punts. That was probably their best punt the entire time. 18-yarder.
Very good point right there by my colleague Grant. Wayne Hills special teams has just been dominating so far. Like, I think 3 tipped punts, the 2-point conversion. Well, I can't really assess that special teams. Although they had the one kickoff go out of bounds. Besides that, they've been pretty flawless. And Bucci gets the carry, and he has a big hole and is just tripped up 8 yards past the line of scrimmage. So it's 2nd and 2 for the Patriots.
Great play fake there by Warzel.
You know what would really hit the spot right now, Justin? Big League Chew. When was the last time you had Big League Chew?
A little off topic, but a while ago, actually.
The days of Little League. The days of Little League.
Bringing back the memories. Back to today's world, though, with Nick Wurzel under center, waiting the snap, and he gives it right to Zambelli, who carries the pile for a yard and might have the first down, but most likely 3rd and 1.
So Grant Till, the king of random, I guess you would say.
Adding a little spice to our life right now.
Ryan Green will check back in. Chang will check out.
Gets a fun play-by-play. Cody's color. I don't know what we call Grant right now.
King of random.
I would actually describe Cody as the Bonnie Bernstein of the group.
It's a low blow. And here's Bucci right up the middle. Enough for the first down. So Wayne Hills will have a fresh set of downs at the 25-yard line. Ryan Green and Andrew Bucci in the backfield for the Patriots, and Ryan Mink split out to the right. So play action to Bucci, and he's got Mink, but he opts for Adiabilo, who's open over the middle, cutting to the right side, and he drags his man an extra yard or two all the way to the 14-yard line.
You know, Justin, I really haven't seen Abilo make a mistake this year. He's made several big plays, including the game a couple weeks ago against Who are they playing?
Demarest.
That's a good question, but I'm sure everyone who saw Channel 77 during the last home game saw Audi Abilo, without a doubt, be the game's MVP. He had about 5 forced fumbles, I think, and at least 1 recovered in a huge 50-yard reception. And tonight, he showed some sure hands replacing Greg Olson this year. Some people thought might have been a weakness, but he's come up pretty strong this year. And there's Bucci hurtling over would-be tacklers for the first down.
You know, adding on to Cody's comment about Obila, they really don't give the ball to him enough. I mean, it seems that maybe they could do some type of end of a round or some end around, and I think it would really work, perhaps. You know, it seems like they're not using him as much as they used Greg Olson last year.
Yeah, it looks like they're pretty content with their running game, but like you said, they're not using as much as Greg Olson. It's not every year that a Greg Olson type player is playing at your school. He was a one-of-a-kind tight end, and now he's down at the University of Miami, learning from soon-to-be pro Kellen Winslow. That's right, Kellen Winslow, soon to be a New York Jet,
a.k.a. Mr. Heisman.
And here's Bucci straight up the gut, and he is taken down at around the 6-yard line. Looked like he might have broken it over the pylons and into the end zone, but it wasn't to be, and Wayne Hills will have a second and goal situation.
You know, last year that was such a great team, and you lost Olson and Shalari and Monahan, and Olson was looking for people to replace him this year, and it hasn't really been 1 or 2 people that stepped up. It's been really everybody on the team stepped up and contributed in some way.
Yeah, coming into the season, everyone thought Chaz Lynn was going to shoulder the load for this Patriots, and no pun intended with the shoulder comment, but he went down with a broken collarbone, and like you said, a number of people have stepped up this year to lead Wayne Hills to a 3-2 record.
And as the play was just happening, as we missed, Bucci was handed a handoff, and he went way out and was pushed out by the defense.
And you have to remember that one of those losses was to Mainland Regional. It was only 14-0. Mainland, the number 5 team in the state.
The defense has been very good this whole season. Been extremely stellar. You can thank Coach Tim Ziza for that. He's got his defense prepared every week.
Once again, reminds me of the Ohio State University defense.
That's right, not the prettiest offense in the world, but very good defense. Keeps them in the games every week.
And if you couldn't tell already, Grant originally from Ohio, a big Buckeye fan.
And Wurzel can't find a man. Finally just hurls it up towards Abilo, who could not come down with it. Wurzel looked like he was holding on a little too much, like he was about to take the sack, but got it off to Abilo, who nearly came up with a spectacular catch, but instead Andrew Bucci will come onto the field for a field goal attempt. At the end of the first half, we saw Bucci come on for a field goal attempt. He bombed it, but missed it wide right. We'll see if he can correct his aim here and split the uprights.
So Olson with a couple of options in Bucci, the senior, and Caleb Denegris, and he's going to opt to go with Bucci.
Little kicker controversy.
The snap is good, but Bucci line drives into the back of his lineman, and Farina picks it up, and he is going to go down to the 2-yard line. Nearly ran it in, but he's down at the 2.
Just forced out.
So heads-up play by Farina, and that's really what you like to see out of your seniors.
I don't think Coach Olson and the special teams coach, Coach Johnson, drew it up like that, but nearly a touchdown. But instead, the Demarest Norsemen will be pinned against their own goal line to start.
It's going to be a big play right here for these Patriots. They get a safety. This is a huge momentum shift.
You got to expect Wayne Hills to bring the house one of these plays here, trying to get the safety, like you said.
Wayne Hills has been able to get some pretty good pressure on Demarest all day, and like you said, I expect to see the rush here.
Like we said in the opening, Demarest have gave up 12 sacks in their previous game. Wayne Hills only with about 1 or 2 tonight, but that won't stop them from bringing the blitz if they have to. And you can see all 3 linebackers crowding the line, but the give is to Greer, who is tripped up at around the 3 or 4 yard line. And we're in the final minute of this third quarter as there's only 27 seconds left. Wayne Hills still holding that 14-6 lead that they had at halftime.
It seems if there's some type of confusion between the referees or the ball spot, maybe. Oh, and there's excuse me, the Norsemen were looking to wind down the clock.
And in all the games I've seen with the Patriots, they have not allowed a point in the fourth quarter. So the Norsemen have a tough challenge here in the fourth quarter to try and get back in this game. So Grant, it looks like this Patriots defense has been pretty good all day. What do you think?
Once again, defense is the number one thing. You go into the first day of practice, the first day of triples, whatever your type of practice is, your coach is always saying defense is what matters. Defense is your number one thing. Every sport, it's like that, and it's critical in every game.
The universal saying goes, offense wins games, defense wins championships, right, Cody?
Yes, that's so true, and it's being shown here today.
Right here, you hear the Wayne Hills Band, who is kind of a cornerstone of this school. Seems every competition they go to, they come home with some medals. They do a great job every year.
Justin, I always wonder if they could maybe add a little something in there, be like a college marching band, have, a fight song, do a little march around the field. But, it seems they're doing pretty well what they're doing right now, though. So
yeah,
it seems to work.
They're sitting in out here in the rain just like the rest of us, doing a great job tonight. The fourth quarter will start with Demarest backed up at their own 2-yard line on 2nd and 10. Greer in the backfield along with his fullback as Esposito sends a man in motion, and he will drop back the pass, rolling out to his right, and he's got a man deep as Kavanaugh slipped. Oh! And number 5, we don't really know his name right now as the sheet has just disintegrated on us, but he was thinking touchdown before he caught that, because if he brings that in, there's no way Kavanaugh or Mink are catching up to him.
And that was number 5, Richie Gilad.
So Gilad right there dropping the short touchdown. Esposito put that pass right on the money. It looked like he was double covered nicely by making Kavanaugh, but almost simultaneously they both slipped, lost their balance a little, and Gilad seemed like he had it beat and just dropped it. So a heartbreaking play right there for Demarest, who could have tied this game back up with a touchdown and the extra point, but instead they're still at their own 2-yard line looking for something to get going.
I'll tell you, this Demarest team has had so many chances to tie this game up.
And once again, Esposito is dropping back. He escapes the Bilo, and once again has a man open, but overthrows him, and it's nearly picked by both Bucci and Kavanaugh. And right now it's 4th down, and Demarest has to punt it now, backed up this far in their own side of the field.
If I were this situation, I'd probably fake it, to tell you the truth. Try to add a little versatility in this game.
I'm going to take the sarcasm and move along right now as the punter is lined up at the back of his own end zone, and with the weather conditions the way they are tonight, they better hope it's a good snap, because if this goes over his head, it's out of the end zone for a safety.
Watch out for Ryan Green.
And one of the first punts that wasn't blocked tonight, but it's in the air for only a few seconds, and Ryan Mink has a clear opening, and he is going to the sideline and just barely tackled at the legs. Ryan Mink had a huge hole to play with right there.
Tripped up by the turf monster right there. It reminds me of Dante Hall of the Kansas City Chiefs being tripped up by the kicker.
Appeared to me that the Demarest kicker was only an inch or two from stepping out of bounds, which would have been a safety.
Yeah, that was pretty close right there, but he did get the kickoff successfully, but it didn't have very good hang time, maybe in the air for about a second, maybe 2, and that gave Mink a great opportunity to run up the field. And right there, as you can see, Wayne Hills has the ball for 15, so Demarest only advanced the ball 13 yards. And they give it to their workhorse, Bucci, who gains about 2 yards up the middle of the line. This is where you really need a running game. Deep in the game, right now it's the 4th quarter, as you see Farina checking back in the game. If Bucci's able to pound it away, take off 30 seconds from the clock at every play, and eventually get into the end zone, Wayne Hills could virtually put the game away. And once again, no, it's a fake handoff, and Wurzel goes forward And showing some power and agility right there is the quarterback, Nick Wurzel, as he gains about 5 yards on the play. And it's going to be 3rd and 4.
You know, you got to give credit to both of these teams. It's a very slippery field, slippery ball, and it's extremely surprising that they haven't really fumbled it that often.
And the only time the field's come into play is on special teams, as we saw Bucci kick it into the back of his lineman previously, and the Demarest kicker on his extra point slipped and fell. And Grant enjoyed that one right there, seeing someone slip and fall,
Yes, I did.
laughing at the misfortunes of others. And here's Bucci up the middle again. They're looking to just pound away at the middle of this 5-2 defensive front. And Bucci seems to have picked up about 3 yards on the play, which is not enough for the first down. But just to be sure, no, the refs are going to go ahead and say he got the first down, and the Patriots are at the 5-yard line, so they're going to have 4 chances to punch it into the end zone. Jan Papa is checked into the game for Dan Chang, so he's either going to line up as a tight end or fullback. That remains to be seen.
Seems as if he's lining up as the tight end, the goal line set.
Yeah, so they have two tight ends in and 3 men in the backfield. And Bucci carries the pile into the end zone. And it's a touchdown. The signal from the ref is 6 points. Wayne Hills is up 20-6. And Demarest is going to have a tough time coming back now.
Definitely, definitely.
Looked like Bucci was stopped at the 2, but what do you know? He kept those legs driving and carried the pile into the end zone.
And you know it's a touchdown when those cowbells go off. Tell me, guys, what do you think of the cowbells?
Tradition.
Tradition.
First thing that comes to mind.
And this has not been Wayne Hills' best part of the day, where it looks like as if they're going for 2 with Warzel running onto the field.
I guess Coach Olson's thinking as you go up 22-6, that's 18 points. Or no, excuse my math, that's 16 points, which would be two touchdowns with 2 extra points. But the conversion is unsuccessful. Both my colleagues laughing at my poor math skills, but right now Wayne Hills is still up 14 points, so they got to be feeling pretty good about themselves right now. Pull the John Madden right there. Pretty bad with numbers. We're just going to let it slide.
You know, after realizing the several mistakes by the special teams, I realized that the reason why they've done so poorly is because their original field goal kicker, sophomore Nick Romeo, has broken his collarbone. And that is why they have had the Demarest and Bucci kicking the field goals.
That's a good point, but I think him and Bucci were alternating kicking duties anyway, but good point, Romeo, a promising sophomore, one of the only sophomores on the varsity team, out with a broken shoulder.
Patriots have really had some adversity with injuries this year with Chaslin and Nick Romeo and several others that are playing through the injuries, and they've really recovered pretty nicely.
Chaslin's injury was the backbreaker, though. That was just devastating. He was going to carry the load for this offense, and that was just heartbreaking when they heard he went down. But there was a chance he could have played tonight, so his recovery must be going pretty well, and probably expect him to be playing next week. And Wurzel with a pretty good kickoff right there. And Pagan with a very short tackle at around the 32-yard line, which is where Esposito and the rest of this offense will try to get something going late in the 4th quarter.
Let's go, D!
After realizing, comparing us announcers to other announcers in movies, I have to compare us to Harry Doyle of Major League 2, and Major League Back to the Minors.
All 3 Major League movies among my favorites, as I'm a big baseball fan. And the part of Harry Doyle was played by Bob Uecker, Hall of Fame announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers.
And number 4, Esposito, made a catch 5 yards in front of the line of scrimmage, spun away from a tackler and picked up the first down. and Esposito, and the offense has a first down to work with, and he drops back in the pocket. Good protection. He has Esposito open over the middle, but overthrew him a little. He had Mink beaten, but it doesn't matter.
Just it seems as if this quarterback really doesn't have his touch tonight. Making a lot of bad overthrows, and these are key plays that could help this team too.
Yeah, but in the same breath, you can also say that his receivers have let him down a little, as we saw on that picture-perfect pass over the middle to whatever his name was, number 5, who dropped the pass over the middle of the field, who was bound to score a touchdown, and that would be Goudy who dropped the pass.
Tell you the truth, Justin, it doesn't really matter about the names anymore. Fans, just want to let you know, it doesn't matter about the names. We have no idea what it's about.
So, without names, we see number 7 breaking a few tackles. That would be the quarterback, Esposito, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage.
And after seeing this entire Demarest team, you could just see that their main thing is explosion. You could see, you see the coach probably running on the track at their high school with the sleds and everything. Just extremely good team.
Demarest came in favored in the minds of many with their 3-1 record, coming off a few impressive wins. But tonight, Wayne Hills has handled them pretty well, as they're currently up by 14 points with 8:30 left here in the game.
It's not over till the large lady sings.
Watch the screen!
So, following up that comment, we see Esposito with the snap, dropping back the pass. They've all but abandoned the run here, down by so much in the fourth quarter. And Wayne Hills finally gets a sack, and that would be Josie and Papa coming up big. Coach Ziza wanted the blitz, and he got that right there out of G and Papa. And Demarest is going to punt, looking at a 4th and 13 situation. Punt is a little high, but he recovers and gets off a wobbly, poor kick. But it takes a Demarest bounce and picks up an extra 5 yards, and that would be a punt of about 20 yards. And right now, don't expect anything much from the Wayne Hills offense, except for Bucci up the middle.
Up the gut!
Zambelli and Bucci in the backfield. Gotta imagine Zambelli is going to be leading the way for Bucci on this play, as Adiabilo comes in motion to the bottom of your screen. And Wurzel barking out an audible, it appears, maybe sees something in the defense, and ends up giving it to Bucci like we thought. And Bucci breaks away from 2 tacklers and barely gets tripped up. He was bound for the end zone, but a great touchdown-saving tackle by Fuime. And Bucci with a huge run of over 20 yards, nearly put the game in the bank right there. Is that an expression, game in the bank? Because if not, I just made one up.
I think
It's
I've
a
heard
new
it
one
before.
now, and I like it, Justin. I like it a lot.
It's Grant Till approved.
Don't see anything else but Bucci once again here, and there he is going up the middle. Not as much daylight to work with there, but able to squirt through the pile and pick up about 5, maybe 4 yards.
Excuse me, correction there, Justin. That was DeSico on the run. Big run by DeSico, the junior, who was supposed to be the starting running back. With complications in the first game, I think they moved Bucci.
I'd like to make a correction right there. Andrew Bucci is now out of the game at tailback. Junior Pete DeSico right now will take over tailback duties for the rest of this game. So Uddy once again coming in motion to the top of your screen this time. And DeSico's probably going to run over there, and that he does, going to the top of your screen around the Bilo, but only picking up 2 yards.
The Wayne Hills team really trying to control the clock right now. You control the clock, you win the game.
As we look at the clock, down to 6:25, and it's continuing to tick down. Wayne Hill's going to waste a good 30, maybe 40 seconds before each snap now. And play action right there. Wurzel's looking deep, looking for the nail in the coffin right there. But good coverage right there by number 2, Keith Scaglione. Looked like he had Mink there for a second, but Scaglione with good recovery speed. And boy, did Coach Olson pull out a shocker right there. We expected the Seco to just bang away, but he went with play action and nearly paid off. So right here, we're going to see Farina come onto the field for, I believe, the 4th or 5th time. Possibly with a fake here. It looks... No, check that. It's going to be a punt, and Farina places it nicely at around the 5 or 10 yard line. Demarest return man hopping back and forth, bobbing and weaving through tacklers, and that was Gilad. But there is a flag on the play, probably a holding penalty.
Going back to the first quarter when Demarest has gone into shotgun formation, you now notice they haven't done it because of that one play where it was a fumble. Obviously, they're not feeling real confident with it.
Yeah, ever since then, Esposito has gone under center every time. Like you said, the weather definitely affected the snap on that play as it sailed over Esposito's head. And it was a 10-yard holding penalty, so Denver's not helping out their own cause right here, because they have to score 14 points in the final 5 minutes and 40 seconds, and a 10-yard penalty isn't going to help them accomplish that. But as we all saw on Monday night a few weeks ago, Indianapolis Colts down 21 with only 4 minutes left in the game, came back to win in overtime. So, like Grant said, it's not over till the large lady sings.
Exactly.
So Grant Hill keeping the atmosphere light up here.
Esposito dropping back to pass, no surprise here. Scrambling away from Pagan, who's unable to get him, and Esposito's in the open field. And he put a killer juke move on right there, getting away from either Butchie or Mick, not sure which one, but he looked like Michael Vick right there.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Justin.
Not much you can say about that play, but wow.
Seen that from him a couple times tonight, a couple times in the first half, avoiding a sack, picking up a gain when he probably should have had a loss.
He's been contained pretty much the whole game, but right there we saw the explosiveness that the Wayne Hills coaches had talked about. So here's Esposito, most likely going to drop back to pass as they've all but abandoned the running game. And there he is, driving back in the pocket, 5-step drop. He had the man open in the flat, but unable to get it to him, as it looked like he lost his footing as he threw it.
And it seems as if the Wayne Hills fans are upset because there was a no holding call.
They've been barking for holding calls all night. I think it's just home field stuff. You always think the other team's holding. I could tell you, being a Jet fan. Esposito once again with the 5-step drop, and he had no intentions on throwing there as he wanted to scramble from the get-go, and the Wayne Hills linebackers corral him at around the 43-yard line, and it's going to be 3rd and 8. And once again, the rain is starting to pick up here. But with only 4 minutes and 30 seconds left, it shouldn't really affect them any more than it has the whole night. And wide open over the middle is number 4 running a crossing pattern, who would be Salamondo, who is still going and pushed out at around the 33-yard line. So, like Coach Ziza was telling us, Demarest likes to run the underneath patterns, and right there we saw it as Salamondo only ran about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, but got open and got the yards after the catch.
You know, to tell you the truth right there, Justin, I have to say, at this time, you're up a little. I'd say give some younger kids a little chance here. Some of the juniors, these guys aren't doing too well in the coverage. Maybe some younger guys can step up, right?
Perhaps. We'll see what happens right here. If Demarest is able to score I don't think Olsen's going to be very happy with his starters that are in there right now. And once again, we see an underneath pattern. Demarest likes what they're getting out of that play right now, picking up about 4 or 5 yards right there.
Maybe you should put in the Patriots poster boy, Colin Wiseman, JV wide receiver and defensive back, who's doing an incredible job at that level.
Yeah, look out for him next year. Wayne Hill's getting great pressure on Esposito, but he spins one way and goes the other and gets the ball out to number 8, who would
As
be
Obilo comes
Goudy,
from behind and just
Obilo
cracks
comes from
the
behind
receiver.
and gives him a good lick from behind.
Correction, number 8 is Thomas Wan, the captain.
Thomas Wan, the punter, who had a few kicks blocked earlier in the game. Apparently also a wide receiver.
Let's go, D!
Ball spotted on the Patriot 25.
So the clock continues to tick down as there's now 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in this game. So Greer still in the ball game as a tailback, but not looking to get the ball right here. As Esposito is hit from behind, and that's a fumble on the play. And it looks like Adiabilo has pounced on it. And if so, that will all but seal the deal for the Patriots. And that is the case. Adiabilo with yet another fumble recovery on the season.
Wayne Hill's ball.
Adiabilo coming up huge for the Patriots yet again, all but crushing Demarest's hope to come back.
Kind of reminds me of Big Bad Willie Smith of the Ohio State Buckeyes, the defensive lineman, number 93.
Once again with the Ohio State analogy, not sure who had the sack right there. Could have been a number of players. Thought the number began with a 4, so probably either Zambelli or Green or Pagan, but one of those all three of those have had great games tonight. There's Adiabilo, who recovered the fumble going in motion. And number 20, DeSico, still in the game and bounces it outside for about 5 yards.
Now later in the game, Olsen trying to give his younger players a little more experience in the game.
Seco doing a nice job there, staying in bounds, keeping the clock running.
And the Patriots are letting this clock run down as we are now down to 2:35. So the Patriots, who need this game to stay in the hunt for a league championship, appear they have done just that, as DeSico expects to get the carry once again. And there he is, going to the right of the offensive line, only picking up about a yard, but the important thing is the clock has stopped, as Demarest might have called a timeout.
You know, it almost seems like every time Obilo motions to a side, it's going to be a run to that side. I mean, Demarest could just read their mind right now.
Trying to stack some big bodies on the side that the run is going to, also known as the strong side.
And a timeout by the Demarest team. Hopefully to stop the clock so Wayne Hills doesn't wind it down.
So Demarest, if they are able to stop Wayne Hills on this 3rd and 3, will probably call another timeout. Otherwise, Wayne Hills will have a fresh set of downs, and Demarest will probably just let the clock run down. So this could be the deciding play right here. Coach Olsen runs off the field. Jesse Freena on the bottom of your screen, Ryan Mink on the top. And here is DeSico with the pitch out, but Demarest is right there to make the play. And they use their final timeout. And they will get the ball back with just over 2 minutes left in this game. Cody, do you think Demarest has any chance to come back right now?
No, they really just look dead out there. I don't see any life in them. They haven't been able to get anything going really since the second quarter.
If you talk to their coaching staff right now, I'd put some money down on it that they tell you otherwise, because using their timeouts right here, they definitely feel they still have a chance. Although most fans, as well as I think I can speak for all three of us, doesn't look like they have much of a chance.
Yeah, I really don't see anything
You know,
left.
to tell you the truth, Justin, you stop Wayne Hills right here. What happens is, maybe they make a long pass, Esposito goes for a touchdown run, maybe they hand it off to the running back, which is very unlikely, and a kick return.
Then you got to think ahead, though. They're going to have to kick an onside kick, and the way this weather is, that's going to be very tough to kick a successful onside kick.
Extremely hard.
So here's Wayne Hills punting away as they motion Mink into the line to get some extra protection. As Demarest is bringing the house, and they almost get the punt. No one back to return it, as they brought everyone there to try and block it. And Farina gets off a very good punt, about 40 yards right there.
So it appears that was the last desperate effort for Demarest to try to get back into this game, bringing everybody and with no return. Not very good field position. It's all but over.
Esposito will come back into the game, most likely throwing on all 4 downs right here.
Although they could pull a Doug Flutie in the Hail Mary miracle, the Boston College-Miami game.
Yeah, except Boston College wasn't down 14.
They could get an onside kick.
The man loves his college football. What can you say, folks? Grant Till, the king of random.
Kind of reminds me of Ohio State last year versus Purdue on a winning Hail Mary to Michael Jenkins, the connection of Krenzel to Jenkins.
I'd have to say Ohio State was overrated last year. I don't know.
They did win the national championship.
You got to give him credit where credit's due, though, winning the national championship. And right there, Esposito over-firing a wide receiver for about the 10th time tonight, as he has either been right on the money or completely off. Currently under 2 bills left in the game, 1:43.
Hand warmers are just starting to kick in now.
Hand warmers lasted the whole second half. Got to thank the snack bar for that one. Concession stand / snack bar. Esposito once again taking his 3-step drop, looking to make something happen on his own as he is able to roll out and find the man wide open, and he drops it. And I believe number 2 is Scaglione, who dropped the pass right in his hands.
As the Demarest coach, you got to be pretty upset with that play. Kind of not trying on that last play there. Kind of just stood there, dropped it. Didn't really make an effort to get up there.
I'm sure this Demarest coach is going to give his players an earful on the bus home. Not going to be a very fun bus ride home.
Not at all.
We'd like to thank Mr. Hoogstreet, the Wayne Hills TV teacher, as well as all the people down at the tent that helped bring this game to you.
So here's Esposito passing again. Finally completes a pass, and he nearly breaks it, but is taken down. So once again, we see Esposito complete a pass to Goudy for about the 4th time tonight. Although Goudy is not going to be able to shake the memories of that would-be touchdown. So Esposito with 1:20 left in the game, looking for a man deep, but instead opts for Goudy over the middle, and it's incomplete. It's really cold right now. I'm just hoping Demarest takes a knee right here because I want to go home. But they're not going to lay down that easily as they come out with 4 wide receivers. Esposito dropping back and looking deep down the sideline on a fly pattern, and a beautiful catch down the sideline by number 4. And we'll just say that's Scaglione right now.
And with that play, you could kind of tell that Demarest is trying to,
Correct there, Salomano, not Scaglione. Continue, Grant.
Demarest, trying to make a little run here, try to close up the score, make it seem like they didn't lose by that much.
Yeah,
But there's also still the chance of getting the onside kick and the touchdown right here.
Getting the offense going here, but a little too late right here as there's only a minute left in the game. They're finally starting to click.
I think it's also part of the fact that the Wayne Hills team is kind of giving up a little, kind of letting down.
You definitely see a drop-off between the defensive play in the first, second, and third quarters and here in the fourth. So Wayne Hills lines up in man coverage. Esposito looking deep, stays on his feet somehow, but finally taken down by Joe Giampapa, who records his second sack on the night.
Also a huge tackle by the one and only number 86, Colin Wiseman.
Esposito spikes the ball right there, killing the clock with 50 seconds left.
You know, if I were the Demarest coach right now, pass to the right corner of the end zone, one-on-one, man-to-man, it could be a big play.
Esposito's definitely shown the accuracy needed for that type of pass, so maybe we will see that. Cody, what do you think is going to happen right here?
You never know. They have to try something, so we might see that.
So Demarest coming out with 3 receivers, a tight end, and a halfbacker. And Esposito dropping back, and he wants to scramble, and he lets go of it at the last second, looking for number 5, Scaglione.
Once again, like I tried to predict, back corner of the end zone, but I thought maybe Esposito could have ran that in possibly.
Take that back, number 5 is Goudy. I was getting 8 and 5 confused. Our roster sheet has all but disappeared on us through this rain. It is just completely disintegrated, and we're just going off the top of our heads, and as you can see, we're not doing a very good job of it. So Goudy and Esposito have been looking for each other all night, and a couple successful plays, but not enough to come out with the victory, it looks like.
Wayne Hills defeat.
Esposito scrambling. He runs into his own offensive lineman and is able to complete the pass. And once again, the Wayne Hills fans not happy. It looked like there was a clear holding penalty in the backfield, but no call.
You know, you really can't make those kind of calls when you're down 20-6 with 40 seconds left. 31 seconds left of the game as the Demarest team is still looking to try. Now at 25.
Esposito with Goudy and Scaglione as his wide receivers. And he's looking over the middle, and that will be a touchdown.
Touchdown, Demarest.
And Demarest trying to get something going as Esposito completes a pass to the senior captain, Juan. So Demarest has been fielding 3 very talented receivers all night, finally getting the names straight, too.
Yeah, and
that last touchdown call was for Dave Rogers, who was on the injured reserve for not announcing tonight. And if Dave had some minor stitches done, and he was not allowed to announce.
Think about it. If Demarest somehow recovers an onside kick, you think back to Coach Olson's decision to go for 2. He goes for 1 right now. Assuming this extra point is good, it's 21-13. Well, look right now, and he slips and gets it through, though. That's the second time he slipped. So right now, if they kick the extra point, it'd be 21-13, and that's 8 points. So if somehow Demarest miraculously scores, they need a 2-point conversion as well. But once again, if they miraculously score here, all they need is the extra point, which has been no gimme tonight, though.
Yeah, we've seen a number of extra points and field goals missed, kicks going out of bounds, people slipping. It's just really been a wild and crazy game. Really have to just blame the weather.
17 seconds ticking down as my prediction could be correct by picking off the onside kick and maybe making a huge play by the Demarest team. Unlikely, though, as Demarest would have to go for the field goal. They'd have to obviously kick a field goal, which has not been their specialty, an extra point.
Wayne Hills special teams has been solid all night. Got to expect they're going to recover the kick here, but you never know what's going to happen.
Who knows? They could fake the onside kick and kick it all the way back, so they might recover it. Who knows? Little trickery.
As you see, number 7 on the bottom of your screen, Grant may be saying it might be kicked to him where no one else is. And it looks like the senior captain lineman is going to handle the onside kicking duties right here.
Thompson doing a good job trying to pump up and motivate the rest of the Norsemen.
So Thompson getting ready to kick it off. The Norsemen are very pumped up for this. Looks like they think they're going to get it, but they have to remember not to go off sides here, as many teams do on onside kicks. They stay on sides, and that ball will that ball had no chance. It never took the hop that they needed. It was a line drive straight out of bounds, and Wayne Hills will simply kneel on the ball, and we can all go home, and Wayne Hills will walk out of here with a 7-point victory, 20-13.
You know, usually in the pros, Justin, you usually see the guys really kick it up in the air and try to grab it. Kind of like the Indianapolis Colts did against the Bucks in their defeating win. But, you know,
Looked
on the
like
high
that's
school
what-
level now, they really don't have that type of talent.
Looks like Thompson's wanted to do that. Most kickers, they have the skill to kick it along the ground, and it just takes a hop of its own. But right there, as we saw, the ball just a line drive out of bounds, and here's Wurzel at the 50-yard line, and he's just going to knee it, and that will be the game, as there are now 10 seconds left, and the Patriots team will take the field in celebration, and the cheerleaders love it as well. For Cody, Chrusciel, and Grant Hill, I'm Justin Rubino, signing off from Patriot Stadium, where the Wayne Hills Patriots will walk out victorious and move their record to 4-2 on the season.